Live from Capitol Hill, it's War Room Impeachment, episode 153. It's 6 February, the year of our Lord 2020. Day one of freedom, the acquittal of Donald John Trump yesterday afternoon. About 4:42 p.m., I think it was, around there, 4:42. President's over the prayer breakfast, holding up the USA Today, the acquittal. We'll get to the papers here in a second. Raheem Kassam, Jason Miller, and we're honored to be joined by the fire breather of fire breathers, Matt Gaetz, the young congressman from the Panhandle of Florida. Fabulous job. This is fabulous job.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm here to take in the sense of history. You know, we all said that War Room Impeachment would roll through the day after the acquittal, and so I wanted to be here to. I never thought, Steve, that
people are texting me. You're seated at the prayer breakfast. What did you came over and played hooky?
I am.
This is a group of sinners here,
dude,
looking to be saved.
As I always said, you're the group that you wouldn't take home to mom, but that you definitely wanted a street fight. Okay, and we had a street fight on impeachment. I just didn't think we'd be sitting here the day after acquittal with Donald Trump having won impeachment before anyone has won the Iowa caucuses. Did anyone think that would happen?
So we got the Washington Post, the Jeff Bezos, Amazon Washington Post, to the point. Trump acquitted, right?
That's a great headline.
Great headline.
Hey, you got to give credit where credit's due.
I think that's what the history book's going to say,
History book's going to show that. Are you going right to the Mumble? Oh, that's a good one.
No, Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal. Not
small font. What's going on there?
Small font. Come on, because the op-ed page is with Trump. The news section is not, obviously.
Right.
Mike Bender and crew. But here it is. The ever-failing Maggie, can't you talk to the editors? Can't you give him cleared?
Well, hold on. It's split Senate.
Split Senate clears Trump on each count in finale of a bitter impeachment battle.
Worst headline ever.
Come on, guys.
Worst ever.
Worst.
I mean, this
weak.
This is why the museum broke.
Sad.
It's a low energy headline.
This is why exactly. This is why the news. That's the one he should hold up in front of the prayer burgers. Get him jacked up. It's 271 days. It's for day one of freedom and 271 days.
How's this being perceived
day.
in the world, Raheem? I mean, we view this through the U.S. politics lens, but we talked about this impeachment not just as a moment for the president to be acquitted, but a moment to vindicate our movement. And so, what's your perception of how folks around the world are seeing it?
I don't speak for the world, but
yes,
I can tell
you do.
But I can,
at this table,
yeah,
you
exactly.
do.
But I can tell you, I did notice yesterday a lot of fair coverage, like the Washington Posts and the Wall Street Journals, about the acquittal yesterday. But of course, places like the BBC and Sky News in the United Kingdom, which lean increasingly left, sort of going, oh, the numbers are why he got acquitted. You just don't have to worry about the arguments. Don't worry about reading the transcripts. It's all about the Republican-controlled Senate, and that's all you need to know. This is corrupt, and that's the left's narrative at the moment.
If you want to find out how the world really thinks, the markets are on fire. You have this pandemic in China that is the Chernobyl of the CCP, and everybody ought to watch that HBO 5-hour series if you want to know what's going on in Wuhan right now, because the incompetence plus the restriction of information. The world's capital markets, the dollar stronger, the stock. People say, how can the stock market be up? How can our bonds be trading better with all the bad news globally? Economy, Europe slowing down, China's in a free fall, and everybody says, oh, because you call any guy on any desk, oh, Trump's going to be reelected. That's kind of between Iowa and the acquittal and the State of the Union. What are your thoughts on the State of the Union?
What a triumphant week for the president. I think that in the State of the Union also the president really showed his heart. The moments I had tears running down my face when you saw someone coming back from a deployment able
Sergeant
to,
Williams.
Wow.
Hug his wife, hug his children. The celebration of everything from the greatest generation represented by the Tuskegee Airmen to the opportunity in a new life, in a little baby that was given an opportunity because we've embraced a culture of life.
On the other side, you were in the room, could you feel the hate?
There were actually a few of the reasonable Democrats who were barking at
both of them.
Yeah, both. No, there's some in those Trump districts. They, as you said, they went and actually recruited some high quality candidates, and those folks were frequently military, And I saw a few of them barking at their colleagues when they would jeer and hiss and behave poorly. And obviously, I believe Nancy Pelosi has discredited and embarrassed the House and violated the rules of the House. You know what? Our folks out
violated
there,
the rules by not
Yeah.
introducing the president correctly, or tearing up.
By tearing up his speech at the conclusion of his remarks. That type of a tantrum violates the decorum of the House of Representatives. Rule 23, Clause 1 and 2 say that you are not allowed to bring discredit on the House of Representatives in such a childish manner. And just because Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House does not mean she's above the rules.
So are you going to do anything about it?
Damn
You're a man.
right.
You're a man of action.
Damn
What
right.
we like about you, you're the guy that goes down to the Star Chamber and says this is not going to happen, right?
I'm filing charges against Nancy Pelosi in the House Ethics Committee today, because if they're not going to take that matter up, if they're not going to investigate her premeditated action of pre-ripping the page so that she could have her dramatic theatrical moment that was not in order in the joint session of the House of Representatives at that time, then I don't want to hear it when they want to throw the book at somebody like Joe Wilson, who has an excited utterance and says, "You lied to Obama." And by the way, Joe Wilson was right. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, he was right on that.
Upon further review,
Right. And so my belief is that you can't just take these moments lying down. You got to step up and use the tools at our disposal. And what it does, it shows the American people that these are a bunch of hypocrites that are attacking President Trump and trying to steal what was such a unifying America First moment in the State of the Union.
does it become obvious though we call it the Antiphon, his that kind of Howitzer-like opening 2 or 3 minutes before he even gets to the Union stronger than ever because of the actions I've taken? Does it leave them any path? I mean, you're a professional. You do this for a living. But you don't see the personalities that can beat him. Your policies are so radical, they can't be so American people. It's got to be his full destruction. Aren't we just going to go on this endless cycle? You guys are going to go back. They're going to be calling witnesses. I mean, they have to destroy Trump. That's the only option they got.
The CNN headlines behind you are, Schiff says Bolton wouldn't sign affidavit. You know what I mean? Remember when the Bolton bombshell was going to swing 20 senators and, staffs were leaking that people would abandon the president. Look, I mean, that is the only play that these cats know how to run, is the effort to delegitimize, deplatform, and destroy, because, there is nobody that you see in these Democratic debates that has the ability to take on Trump. When Michael Bloomberg is spending a lot of money, and that makes him someone that we got to pay attention to. But he is a weird little man. I mean, there's no questioning that.
Well, let's stay right there with the permanent impeachment party, as we like to call them.
Yeah.
Nadler has said that he wants Book Deal Bolton's testimony. I got right to the Book Deal Bolton. I didn't sleep at all today.
That's trademarked by
yes, Sean
by
Hannity.
Jason.
Throw brother bone here.
Jason's lawyer's going to be calling you for his.
Val Demings was on CNN this morning saying that it's an open chapter out there, and we'll see about what's going to happen. They can't let it go, and they are literally.
What else are they supposed to do, Jason?
Well, right.
Put an immigration bill on the floor that divides their caucus? Are they supposed to put together an infrastructure plan that we would probably take, and then the president would get credit? So they
our
can't
prescription drug policy the president will pass that'll be credit to him too, so they'll never
right.
do
So
it.
they can't legislate because we're actually willing to work with them, and that would be devastating for them. And so they've just got to continue this. I mean, if you're in their shoes, what do you tell them to do?
But one of the critical times where the president was more on the back foot than during this impeachment saga is the border crisis, is the children in cages stuff, and you saw the.
Didn't I see that? Is that you're going back to the Super Bowl halftime show?
Yeah, exactly. You saw the numbers change back then, and with the caravan and all of that, the American public was a little bit wobbly on who was telling the truth in this and what are the real stories here. Would and should they not be focusing on something like that actually helps them?
The problem with immigration is they have a lot of members who are in districts that do not want to see the open borders approach to immigration, and so they can't put. Nancy Pelosi cannot put an immigration bill on the floor and get 218 votes for it because half of her caucus want to abolish the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and Border Patrol,
borders.
And the other half kind of want to work on some sort of a comprehensive immigration deal. Now, I think that the reason that President Trump is not taking massive incoming on this right now is because Secretary McAleenan worked historic deals with the folks down there in the Northern Triangle, so that now instead of these folks coming here and getting catch and release,
Southern Mexico.
they go back to Mexico to wait for their asylum claim, or they got on a flight with a one-way ticket back to Guatemala City. And you do that a few times, it has a very therapeutic effect across the region.
Guy Cecil, Priorities USA head head, who I disagree with, but he's a very smart Democratic operative, has a memo out this morning saying Dems have to get back to the kitchen table type issues, the things that helped them in 2018. They're too triggered. They won't be able to do it.
It was sad. Okay, Raheem, how do you get more information here on episode 153?
Yeah, the website is warroom.org. You can go there, sign up for the newsletter, the podcast, subscribe, leave us some reviews. We'll get to more on what's going on with warroom.org and the show later on in the show.
Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to return with the fire breather, Congressman Matt Gaetz, Raheem Kassam, Jason Miller, all next on War Room Impeachment.
Bannon, Miller, Kassam. War Room Impeachment.
On the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Bannon, Miller, Kassam, and now Gaetz in the house here at the War Room, episode 153. Live at John Fredericks Radio Network, Salem Broadcasting, America's Voice, the platform of the Trump Revolution, and also Newsmax TV. Mr. Kassam.
Matt, you've been here enough. You should be used to the surprise comebacks, right? And the surprise outs and the surprise extra
I am used
ads.
to live television, okay? I work with professionals.
Hey, maybe
came to the wrong place.
Maybe by episode 353, we'll
exactly.
we'll
We're going to get this thing down. You wanted to be a little shabby. Okay, let's go to the. What about the prayer breakfast? By the way, we're going to get this sound right eventually. What about the prayer breakfast?
Well, I'm looking for the clips at the moment. We're trying to pull some clips to play on air. Nothing coming out yet in terms of polls, but CNN, Chiron leading with Trump attacking Romney. Not being able to keep his eyes closed while Pelosi was praying, holding up the USA Today and indeed the Washington Post at the prayer breakfast. I haven't got a clip yet, but I do have a GIF that's coming.
You know why our people are so mad about the Romney thing? Because of a bunch of us supported him. You know, a bunch of the populist blue collar folks that weren't real wild about Romney, more kind of the Mike Huckabee wing of the party. We didn't win, but then we didn't go and take our ball and go home. We supported Mitt
In 2012.
In 2012.
Yeah.
In 2012, and now there's just such a sense of betrayal that, like, because things didn't go his way, because he didn't win, he's trying to delegitimize our movement. That's what this was. This vote was not some, like, deep dive into the faith of Mitt Romney. It was a calculated effort for him to be able to stand out as, like, kind of the Bill Kristol, never Trumper, new spirit animal. And that's not, that hurts us.
The tells were the TV interview, but also the Atlantic, I think, interview. The Atlantic headline is Profile and Courage. He'll have a media platform now. The high moral
McKay
ground.
Coppins, who's the writer for the Atlantic, was on CNN this morning, and he, as well as Romney, are both Mormon, and so he's profiled Romney a number of times in the past, covered his failed candidacies in the
and
past.
He's a true hater of Trump, McKay.
Oh, super hater.
Early hater. Early
he said
and
that
often.
he went over to interview Romney before the vote, and he basically had two sets of questions. Here's if Romney says he's going to vote to acquit, and here's if he says he's going to go on the guilty side. And he said Romney started going way into the the Mormon hymnals and prayers, and saying that this is a deeply religious movement. I said this yesterday. And I want to come back to it. Look, this is not a spiritual matter. When Romney says essentially God told me to do this, that's essentially saying that nobody else in that room is a man or woman of faith. That's what upsets me, is because there are people who are just as strong as in their faith as Romney is in his. And to go and throw that down, I think it puts a juxtaposition against everyone else that's unwarranted. But one other distinction, Mitt Romney does not represent a wing of a party. Mitt Romney represents Mitt Romney. There is a Bush wing of the Republican Party. Mitt Romney is an island of one.
Yeah, never. Yes, sir.
Just to Jason's point, we have a clip coming from the president speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast about what Jason said. If we can play it,
sure.
As everybody knows, my family.
We'll try and clean that up.
Can we try that right now?
Yeah, let me try that right now.
As everybody knows,
We getting that?
my family.
Yeah.
Our great country, and your president have been put through a terrible ordeal by some very dishonest and corrupt people.
Yes.
They have done everything possible to destroy us, and by so doing, very badly hurt our nation. They know what they are doing is wrong, but they put themselves far ahead of our great country. Weeks ago and again yesterday, courageous Republican politicians and leaders had the wisdom, fortitude, and strength to do what everyone knows was right. I don't like people who use their faith as justification for doing what they know is wrong. Nor do I like people who say, I pray for you, when they know that that's not so. So many people have been hurt, and we can't let that go on. And I'll be discussing that a little bit later at the White House.
Amen.
Yo. And now we're going to get, where's Lindsey Graham? Can you get Lindsey on the phone? Let's get the Grahams. Oh, come on. Is Lindsey at the breakfast? Doesn't this show that we got to go on offense here about the crime of the century?
Well, this is why I came this morning, Steve. I want to test a theory against your strategic knowledge. I believe that this impeachment and this acquittal is the lens through which we have to evaluate every issue in the upcoming 2020 election. When they criticized the president for not getting his version of healthcare done, they were trying to impeach him. You know, when we look at his historic accomplishments on the economy, on trade, getting the deals like we discussed in the last block to get illegal aliens back to their home countries, repatriated, he did all that despite impeachment. And so if there's any frustration among people that the president hasn't done even more, I think that this is a reasonable perspective to apply to those decisions, to those debates, and to the upcoming campaign against either Bernie Sanders or Pete Buttigieg.
I agree with that. That's the opportunity cost. That argument's very powerful. But also, he says, and I think this is powerful, what Trump keeps hitting, and I want people to listen to him. It's not about him in this regard. It's about the office of the president. This can never be allowed to happen again. The Republican Party has got to grow a set. You guys in the House, the 10 fire breathers are fantastic. But that passion and power in the Senate, which we control, Mitch said yesterday, hey, there's no doghouse, we're going to the next thing. Lindsey Graham and judiciary, we got to get the whistleblower, we got to get the number 2 whistleblower, we have to get Schiff, we have to get Vindman, we have to, I think, Brennan. Leave the Bidens aside. Biden's got, I want to get to Bidens eventually. Okay, I'll throw in the Bidens. Okay, you're right. Okay, give me stink eye. We'll take the Bidens. But I want the apparatus first. The Bidens are a sideshow, right? Their corruption is so evident. Yes, we'll get to that as crony capitalism.
They are fruit of the poisonous tree.
Fruit of the poisonous tree.
The Bidens are the symptom, not the cause.
So tell the president right there saying, about how what the country's been put through. Walk us through how we get Lindsey Graham focused on getting this done.
We're probably going to need to let him invade whatever country he wants, and then he'll hold the hearings. No, I'm kidding. I love Lindsey, but I think that we
have a lot of respect for Senator Graham. He's very close to the president.
Yeah, but we need to hold the hearings. I mean, the bottom line
Maria
is
Bartiromo the other day says, "Oh, hey, Rish, are you right? If you're listening, you need a Senate Foreign Relations, and you need to call John Kerry's chief of staff." We don't care about John Kerry's chief of staff.
Why is Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson doing Lindsey Graham's job? I mean, there's an article out this morning that Grassley and Ron Johnson, chairs of their respective committees, not judiciary, where Lindsey is, where it should be getting done, requesting Hunter Biden's travel records. Lindsey, where are you?
You're at the tip of this, and you're also a lawyer, and you're one of the fire breathers. Look, if it was not for you going down, you came on the second episode of the show, you went down there and lanced the boil. Tell the Trump supporters how we're supposed to take this. If it just fades away, it would be of no purpose for us. No purpose.
Look, the only way this thing works in Trump world is when it is a participatory movement. Okay, we are not the establishment, so we don't have some massive exoskeleton. We require the energy of the American people, the folks benefiting from this blue-collar boom, to get out there and tell this story. And I think it's very important for people to not forget the pain that these folks have put our country through and the shackles that they have tried to put on this administration as we are the hottest economy in the world, making people live better lives.
Let's go sell some ads and make some money here for the cause. Raheem, what do you got for us?
I got a lot of great new reviews for the podcast. A lot of great compliments, not just for you, Steve, but Jason.
No, I stopped cutting you guys off, except right there.
Well, you just did it again. That's a 1-star review right there. But also for our great guests like Matt Gaetz and all the guys that come on the show. We're very grateful for them.
Okay, we'll be back in a moment.
War Room Impeachment. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Live from Capitol Hill, only yards away from where President Donald John Trump was acquitted yesterday, the 45th President of the United States, the third impeachment trial in American history. Episode 153. We're live on Capitol Hill. Congressman Gaetz joins us, and my two colleagues, Raheem Kassam, Jason Miller. What's going to happen at noon? Is this going to be a throwdown? Since the State of the Union was right in their grill, I got to imagine today's even going to be to the 10th power, now that he absolutely is acquitted.
Well, I mean,
by the way, the State of the Union, think about how powerful that had been after the acquittal vote. Come on, how did we allow him? How did the Capitol Hill guys, that Capitol Hill mafia, force him into having it before he's acquitted? And what's going to happen at noon today? You're going to be in the room. You'll be in the front row.
I think that there
right?
were some establishment Republicans that preferred to have the acquittal after the State of the Union because they did not want to see him dunk on this process the way that he probably has the right to do. And I think that you had some White House staff go to the president and say, look, when you stayed on script with the last State of the Union, it was heralded. You were given widespread praise. So stick to the script on the State of the Union, nail it, crush it. He did, and now I think we're going to see the real Donald Trump in the Rose Garden today. I think he's going to let it rip, Steve.
Fantastic. We'll talk now. We got to pivot and talk about New Hampshire, and let's go back to that memo quickly.
Who won Iowa, Jason? Can we start with that?
Yeah, great question. So just real quick, let me go into the Iowa. So here's the thing that's breaking. And Steve Kornacki, MSNBC on Morning Joe.
He's solid. He's solid numbers.
He's very solid. And again, Steve and I watch it, so the rest of you guys don't have to. He did an awesome job this morning of breaking down what's going on. Here's why it's razor tight right now. They have this thing called the satellite county results, 4 congressional districts in Iowa, but these are essentially the absentee ballots, so to speak, for people who couldn't make it to the caucus. People had to work, do other things. They have 3 of the 4 got tabulated last night, and Bernie's winning all these with like 80%, because if you're super hardcore, you're showing up for Bernie.
Yeah.
There's 1 more congressional district left to go, and if it goes at the same pace where Bernie's been winning the other 3, he is going to be both the popular vote winner and the quote-unquote electoral college winner in this. But you want to talk how close it is on the delegate percentages right now. Mayor Pete, 26.2. Crazy Bernie, 26.1. Because the popular vote numbers, Bernie's at 44,753, Mayor Pete, 42,235. And so I think Bernie is going to end up being the actual winner overall.
If you're 4 days after this and you still have 1 congressional district to do in Iowa, which only has a handful of congressional districts, the Democrats will just stop talking about the whole thing.
And it's
we're laughing at the Iowa Democrats from Florida, and that says something.
Wow. But you go into some of the, so we look at mainly right-wing Twitter, right? Right-wing Twitter in the media in Washington D.C. There's in the bowels of the internet, there's left-wing Twitter and especially Bernie Twitter, right? And if you get into what these guys are looking into in the screenshots, and these are all unverified and things like that, but the numbers that are coming out, the mathematics that they're doing to do with Iowa, the rounding errors that they keep repeating, showing that, hey, look, all these precincts are reporting certain numbers, and then when we actually get the papers now that we're looking at, 1.2 for Pete Buttigieg is being rounded up to 2, whereas 1.2 for Bernie is being rounded down to 1.
It's that Green New Deal math.
Yeah, that's a McKinsey roundup.
Always works against Bernie.
Rounding up for McKinsey.
Look, I want to be very serious about this for a second. If this had happened in Botswana or Kosovo or Iraq, the United Nations and the United States would refuse to verify that this was a free and fair election.
Think of it happened with Donald J. Trump. There'd be full meltdown.
Yep.
You'd have John Berman and the morning crew out there. We'd be doing a morning show about about how you round.
Honestly, the Democratic Party of America needs international election monitors.
Well, look, this is how close it is. It is 550 delegate equivalents for Mayor Pete, 546 for Bernie. Keep in mind, one of those delegate equivalent votes was that viral video where it's like the high school kid flipping the coin, and then he catches it and he like goes back way, and that was between Mayor Pete and
everybody.
Pocahontas. And so literally, otherwise it would have been 549 to 546, except for that kid flipping the coin.
Everybody was rolling out their practice strategy in Iowa. The president deployed over 100 surrogates because we wanted to test our operational capability. And I mean, a cynical view is the Democrats may be testing their ability to cheat. I mean, I said like everyone was kind of running their playbook. We were running our ground game. They were running their cheat game.
Your ground game, the ground game was so good. The Democrats have clearly just passed. They're never going back to Iowa. I mean, they saw the support of the president among the people and what the president's teams got laid out there. Okay, Raheem, we got about 30 seconds before we got to go to break. What do we got here?
Well, we're continuing to monitor what's coming out of the National Prayer Breakfast. President has, I think, concluded his remarks there.
Did he
so
give
we're
Mitt
just
Romney a
waiting.
benediction?
We're just waiting for more to come out on there at the moment. Warroom.org is the URL where you can sign up for everything, the newsletter, the podcast. Pandemic.warroom.org. That's pandemic.warroom.org is where you can find all of the War Room pandemic information from Steve and
Is that
Jack
the
and team.
podcast that goes until the day after we all die from the pandemic?
No, although that last Democratic flight out of Iowa reminded me of the last flight out of Wuhan.
Wear the mask, right? Okay, we got to take a short commercial break. We'll return with Congressman Matt Gaetz in a moment.
Bannon, Miller, Kassam. War Room, Impeachment.
On the John Fredericks Radio Network.
6 February, the year of our Lord 2020, first day of freedom after the Pelosi captivity, War Room impeachment. Congressman Gaetz, Jason Miller, Raheem Kassam. Okay, the caravan travels to the next stop, and the next stop is big for the Democrats since this fiasco in Iowa that they want to just avoid.
So New Hampshire. So we have a Democratic debate on Friday night, and then next Tuesday is New Hampshire primary. Ostensibly, all the votes will be counted on that day. So right now, everything is all about momentum. This is all about media cycles. Numbers can move super quick. Really, at this point, TV ads don't matter. This is who has the juice, who has the energy. 2 new polls came out yesterday on Wednesday. One showing Sanders up by 15. The other one showing Sanders up by 9. 2 new polls out today, both Emerson and then Boston Globe. Sanders up by 10, Sanders up by 6. So this thing's tightening. Obviously, Mayor Pete is starting to gobble up Joe Biden. So in the Emerson poll, had Sanders at 31, Mayor Pete at 21. Then it drops way down to Biden and Elizabeth Warren both at 12. So you can see this thing starting to sort out. And then real quick, Steve, on the Boston Globe, Sanders at 25, Mayor Pete at 19. That one shows, that's only a 6-point stretch. Biden down at 12 and Warren at 11. So this is becoming a 2-person race.
Warren collapses after, how does she continue on after Tuesday night if she finishes in 4th in a neighboring state?
Not good. I think that's her sort of last stand, but this is a 2-person race. And by the way, I think there's some real problems for Democrats if these are their 2 candidates, because if they have to go and, motivate turnout in Milwaukee and Detroit and Fort Lauderdale, it's going to be very difficult if those are the mastheads.
Here's the problem. They never had their civil war. After 2016, they let the Clintons go to point to Russia. It was Russia. It wasn't our fault. They didn't have the Civil War that the Tea Party and the establishment had for years. They kind of broke open this thing that someone like Trump could come and galvanize this movement and drive it forward. All those years of nastiness that we had, the Democrats avoided it, and now they're paying for it. Okay,
so
they have 2 guys on the stage, combined, squared, are not going to take on Donald Trump. This
so
is a joke.
If Bernie wins, if this holds and Bernie wins, is the nomination his? Tell me where Bernie loses. Maybe South Carolina. He's going to win Nevada.
Win Nevada. He won 3 in a row.
And he'd win
By
South
the way, it's
Carolina
not Bernie.
as well.
It's AOC. Bernie is AOC's 3rd term. It just happens to be her first.
Right.
Right. It's all the energy. Remember, he started to surge in Iowa when he had to come back to the Senate and she was doing the rallies.
Yeah, but he deserves credit for that. He inspired her into politics.
Absolutely. She said, "Hey, I shouldn't be in the same. I would in Europe and any other country except the United States. I would not be in the same party with Joe Biden."
So, Steve, if you're Mini Mike right now and you're taking a look at this and you're seeing the way this is becoming a 2-person race and how it's moving along, what do you think your odds are?
He'll take any instrument. Listen. We're entering a very dangerous time in American political history. We have a party that will, remember, the exit polls showed in Iowa, the number one thing is not ideology. It's defeating Donald Trump. That's all they care about, electability, but it's defeating Trump. We now have a party that will politicize and weaponize the Constitution for someone's destruction. And now we have an oligarch. Look, regardless of how Mike Bloomberg's done in business, right? He's been an amazing businessman. He fired at 39 years old. He's worth $71.5 billion today. But he's essentially an oligarch. We now have a phase in American politics where an oligarch is going to step in, do a leveraged buyout of the Democratic Party. And he already said the other day, Bernie's fine with me, right? He'll take any instrument they want to. He would love the nomination. It'll never happen, okay? They're just not going to nominate him. But whether it's Bernie, the Bernie AOC wing, whether it's Mayor Pete, or I happen to think Hillary Clinton rides into the sunset. Because remember, he's going to let off a thermonuclear capital weapon on March, was it 3rd, on Super Tuesday. an airburst that's going to shatter this primary.
A lot of those states, though, have like early voting. They have vote by mail. So this notion that you can create this one moment in a lot of the Super Tuesday states, an election is not one discrete.
But remember,
moment
he's got ground game. Listen, Trump's not impeached if not for Michael Bloomberg's money. The Dirty 30, the casting call was Nancy Pelosi. The Capitol was Michael Bloomberg. The NRA, the reason the NRA, and they'll tell you, the reason they're blown up is because of Everytown USA, which are and the attorney generals. Letitia James, look, she just came out the other day, and she's after the NRA nonstop. These AGs
and the state legislatures.
State legislatures in Virginia, he flipped his money. He knows how to apply capital. He's applying capital, and this is why it's dangerous. He wants to be something higher than a president. He wants to be an overlord. He wants to own the Democratic Party, own the nominee, place that in the White House because he also is obsessed. There's no one policy thing he pushes. He's obsessed with the destruction of Donald Trump. That's why we are in uncharted waters, why 2020 is going to be historic, right? For all, it's going to be intense, historic. It's going to be mobilization. And we're going to see if $2 or $3 or $4 billion from one guy can defeat a populist nationalist movement. This is what, to me, is on the table.
Well, he's going to have to defeat two of them. He's going to have to defeat Bernie, and then he's going to have to defeat Trump if he wants to be president.
Bernie, by the way, I don't think he'll be the nominee. He already said last week, Bernie's fine. I'll take Bernie.
Right now, seeing that polling, rolling into New Hampshire, following the meltdown in Iowa, who's your money on?
Hillary Clinton comes in. He's going to shatter.
Your money's on Hillary in a brokered convention.
He's a brokered convention. That's the best weapon. Or
they're coming home to the Clintons.
You talked about that. You have even a broader thought of that, more radical thought than that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope this is not the case, but I could see a world in which they go into the convention with no one having sufficient delegates to win if Bloomberg is able to suck up enough of them, and then they go to Michelle Obama and they say, look, you won't have to go through any primary process. You'll be a unifying candidate. We can't have any of the people that ran before and lost. And, Trump is going to beat essentially anyone else, hands down. He would have a real challenge, I think, with Michelle Obama. And, then they go to her and try to talk her into it. Do I think the odds are likely that would happen? No. But do I think they're possible? I think they're as possible as Hillary Clinton.
She's getting that Netflix money now, though.
Right, but I mean, she'll have that in the bank account.
That's chump change for her.
Look, I think
this is their brand. They wanted their brand to be a $5 billion brand.
Their pitch to Michelle Obama would be: if you value the sacrifice your family made over 8 years in the presidency, Donald Trump is systematically undoing all of it. Which, by the way, thank goodness for him. I think that's their pitch.
Joe Biden had a town hall with CNN last night. They did a series of them. That Elizabeth Warren, that Andrew Yang.
I watch as much as Warren.
He looked like an alien.
Joe Biden.
I can't watch Biden. I feel bad. I actually feel bad. I can't do it. I can't watch it.
Prior to his whole segment on stuttering, which actually was pretty moving, you saw some raw emotion from him. He was asked a question by a college kid from Dartmouth on Syria, and Biden was so far into the scramble brains tank, as I'd call it. Not even the mumble tank.
It's a word salad.
This is the scramble. He literally made no blanking sense.
He thought he was campaigning in Syria last week.
Guys, there is not something all firing upstairs for Biden right now.
But the point of Biden is not Biden. The point of Biden is how the Democratic establishment fooled themselves for over a year and a half. They fooled themselves that this was going to take on Donald Trump. They wasted a year and a half. When you get smoked, Democrats, remember, it's the establishment. It's the Wall Street faction, the corporatists, and the media group that gave you Biden as the guy who's going to do it. It's a joke.
I would say Joe Biden owes no favors to Adam Schiff.
We got to jump here. Short commercial break. We'll return with a wrap-up with the team in a moment.
Bannon, Miller, Kassam. War Room, Impeachment.
On the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Bannon, Miller, Kassam, and Gaetz. A couple of announcements. We promised you we're going to stay here every day until the day after the acquittal of Donald Trump. That would be today. However, since we're in D.C., it's always the bait. It's always the bait and switch. It's always the bait and switch. We're actually going to continue on until tomorrow. But announcement on Monday from 10. We're going to shift the time from 10 a.m. to noon. It'll be War Room. We got War Room 2020. We got War Room Pandemic. But War Room starts 10 a.m. East Coast time to noon. And my two colleagues have agreed to join me, so we've got to have to negotiate Raheem's expenses deal. His T&E deal.
Let's be clear about something. I was getting up and walking off. That's what you just said.
His T&E deal.
Wait, let me be clear about something. We're changing the time.
Changing the time.
And from what's the time? New time.
10 a.m. to noon. every day instead of 9 to.
I got to change my standing reservation at Morton's.
Well, no, you'll still
usually
get
noon.
We'll have an actual formal luncheon over at Morton's every day. You can do that, and we'll do that as an after thing for Facebook Live. But it's good. It's great. We did this so you can get it out of bed an hour earlier.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So listen, the enthusiasm and all our distribution part has been fantastic. We put this together on a kind of at the last second with baling wire, but it's turned out to be, I think, pretty good. Over 2 million downloads.
And by the way, I think it's an opportune time to thank everybody who's been involved in the show from the get-go. I mean, we'll do a whole list out, but all the guests.
Well, we knew it was going to be something special when we had Meadows and Gaetz back to back the first 2 days because Meadows had seen everything and Gaetz was the one that was
That's how you start a party. Invite Mark Meadows and Matt Gaetz to kick it off.
Yeah.
But the great thing was just all the people that hadn't talked to in years. I mean, there was a buddy I went to college with 20 years ago. Probably haven't talked to the guy literally in 20 years. Sent me a picture on Thanksgiving, a text shot of listening to the podcast as he's driving to his Thanksgiving dinner. People you haven't heard of from years are coming up to you off the street and be like, hey, I heard this
we needed
podcast.
This. Look, let's remember when this podcast started, there was not a common nucleus of facts that we were able to reference. There was not a clear strategy. I think history will judge this podcast quite well when you look at the advice that was given. Sometimes it wasn't always taken. Sometimes it was taken in part. But I think that it was an animating and motivating force through this impeachment, and that's why we need you in 2020. There are going to be times when even our friends in the Make America Great Again movement are going to need to hear some hard truths, and that's the type of advice and that's the type of candor that this platform has served.
The thing, look, this was all done by the people, but what I loved, we had the intellectuals like David Rifkin, the constitutional scholars, we had the grassroots like Kramer and Jenny Beth and Brandon, and all those guys, and then we had the fire breathers. You know, we had a collection of both, thinkers, and we had a collection of things. We got about a minute. I'll be on the Bill Maher show tomorrow, so the guys are going to be anchoring here. I'll be in L.A. and back to my own old home turf, and you guys will be anchoring.
What time?
I think Maher comes on HBO. What is it? 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
I think it's 10 o'clock. So I'm at the front of the show, so I'll be on it at whatever the 10
And I just want to remind people, check warroom.org over the weekend especially, and we'll announce where you can listen and what times you can listen to the new show, War Room 2020.
Yeah, War Room 2020. That'll be on Monday, 10 a.m. to noon. Okay, Brother Gaetz, last thing I want you to wrap up. What do you think is going to happen at noon? Because we're a show that's an action-oriented show. So the president comes up and addresses the nation. You get 10 seconds.
The president, I think, is going to bask in his vindication. I think we are going to get the full unscripted Trump, and I can't wait.
Okay, we saw in the prayer breakfast he gave us a preamble. Okay, Stephen K. Bannon, Raheem Kassam, Jason Miller. Tomorrow, Jason and Raheem will be here. Roaring pandemic, everything out of China next.